What's up, everybody? Jensen Cummings here. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Today, I want to talk about something important. To hell with the haters and self-doubt. Start telling your story right now, today. You are one piece of content away. This is so foundational. I'm going to rant for a couple minutes about this. So foundational to what I believe in, what we're all about at Best Served. And so I want to just take a moment and tell you, your story fucking matters. Don't let those haters, don't let the self-doubt, don't let the algorithm, don't let the stats tell you any different. I want to hear your story. So many people out there want to hear your story. I want to be a part of it. I want to have your back. I want to be in your corner. Like, I think it's important for us to recognize that the opportunity that we have, especially in food, beverage, and hospitality, is to share those stories. All right, we talk about stop selling food, start telling stories. Food is just the proof that you are who you say you are. And there's so many more voices that need to get added in the culinary narrative. So it's going to be really important. And content equals that opportunity. Content is going to be that vehicle for your personal and professional success. Again, truly, truly believe that. And you're just one piece of content away. If you're looking to start a new restaurant and you're looking for investors, content. You're looking to launch a new menu, content. You're looking to get more clients for your personal chef, catering, your food truck, content. More butts and seats at your current restaurant, content. You're looking to start up a tech company, product company. You're in commercial real estate, content. This is going to be that unlock. So we're going to talk about this a little bit today with the Best Served team. Really excited to share some of the content that brought our team together. One of the things, though, I wanted to do first was share with you one of the first pieces of content. This is before Best Served Podcast even started, November 2019, when I started just an audio podcast with this phone right here, a cheap headset, and some hoodies hanging around me. Here, let's roll that clip. It was so important to be able to just get out there and tell these stories. And here we are, literally in the parking lot of my gym. It didn't matter. It was just about the story. It was just about having meaningful conversations. It was just about getting the content out there. I love watching that. I don't know where I got that headset. It's ridiculous. I look like I work at a call center, and it didn't matter. And so we're going to talk about with the team, because our team has really come together. We're living that content life. Each of us has put ourselves out there in an uncomfortable way often, and we found each other. We have now put out tens of thousands of pieces of content and millions of views, likes, comments, shares over the last 2 years because of our belief that story matters and bringing more voices in. And so we want your voice to be a part of that. So that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. We're going to talk to Andrew Parr. We're going to talk to Sophie Braker. We're going to talk to Cory Nelson. If you follow what we do, you know these names and these faces already, these voices already. No further ado, I want to bring in Andrew Parr, our Herald of How, Chief How Officer, partner in crime, the ice to the fire, the thunder to my lightning, like very much very blue. I'm very red, balances us out, and is really the leader in allowing us to bring so much to the forefront. So Andrew, thanks as always for everything you do, and thanks for being on the show.
Hell yeah. Thanks for the kind introduction. Good to be here as always.
Yes. So I want to take people back a little bit to the onset of the pandemic, right? Restaurants were shutting down. It's a really hard time. Trigger warning, I feel like, for a lot of people. That was a really devastating moment, devastating time. And, you know, we've talked a lot about how I said, I'm just going to commit and start making content. And on March 18th, 2020, went live on Facebook. No fucking clue what the hell I was doing. I still don't think I know what the hell I'm doing, but just committed to hustle and communicate and get content out there. And almost 6 months, 7 days a week, we were on and started bringing people into our orbit. You and I have known each other for years and years, but you put out a piece of content that it struck me. It stuck with me enough to take a moment to read it and then to reach out to you and say, hey, let's talk about something. So Sophie, pop up this article, Gratitude in the Hospitality Industry. You posted this on your Medium page, and it was just, it was just a simple way to kind of like acknowledge people in the industry. We talk about that a lot, talk about educating people, workplaces worth working, foundational. Why did you write this article, especially at a time like that?
I wrote the article really because, in an instant, life had changed so significantly. And, it was really kind of twofold. One was right before the shutdown, I was about to launch with 5 new clients. And, you were in the same situation. We went
Exactly.
from, 100 to 0 in 7 seconds overnight. And I really felt like even though I didn't have a client that was paying me directly at that point, I still had a lot to share. And so writing is kind of my comfort zone. So I wanted to start getting stuff out there that could be of benefit. And the other reason was because truly I had a great experience. Jody, my wife, and I are big fans of Fire on the Mountain, and we had ordered food to go from their Wash Park location. We went and picked it up and brought it home. And the whole reason that I wrote it was because they were kind enough to write on the brown paper bag inside the bag that had the utensils and the napkins, Andrew P., thank you so much. And that inspired me to talk about gratitude, which I think was something that was really missing from hospitality before the shutdown.
Wow. A big shout out to Fire on the Mountain. And we'll make sure in the comments, we'll link to the article that you wrote. Also now Fire on the Mountain, you're getting tagged and linked up, because that's true hospitality. I said that food is just the proof that you are, you say you are. I, as a chef, got so caught up in it. We get so caught up, we forget that the reason that we do this is because we're in the relationship business. It's all about cultivating people. And what we put on the plate is not the value that we actually bring to the world. And we get caught up in that minutia. So I appreciate you sharing that. A couple of highlights for people. What are the big takeaways? Like, what did you want people to feel? What did you want people to think when they read that article? Because clearly, look at the trajectory that it led us on. You motivated me, and I think a lot of other people. So I want people to like understand what you were trying to get across.
It's really interesting, because obviously that article's almost 2.5 years old now. So I went back and I reread it, and it really struck me the themes that were discussed in that really short article and how they are still pulled through to this day with our team. I talked about community and people coming together around food for any number of reasons. I talked about hospitality as a profession, which is something that we talk about all the time. I talked about gratitude and appreciation. One thing that really struck me also was talking about looking forward, not getting back to normal, but leaving behind everything that's broken. Yes. And the other thing that I wove in there, and I didn't use the words workplaces worth working because we didn't know what that was yet.
We hadn't come up with that yet.
But I talked about how important it was for employers to provide education and an outstanding workplace for their employees.
Oh, and now workplaces worth working. The foundation of that is wages, benefits, culture, and education. So right. You were right there on that. All right. Amazing. Everybody go read this article. It inspired what now is Best Served. And so it's been meaningful. And you put out that one piece of content. You were one piece of content away from now being here and being a part of this Best Served team, this Best Served movement. So really appreciate that. All right, Andrew, we'll let you go. Cheers. All right, everybody. Let's move on quick. Let's get Sophie Braker in here. Sophie is always behind the scenes here. You hear me talk to Sophie. A lot of people probably think I'm losing my mind, which I probably am when I say, Sophie, throw up that banner. So Sophie Braker, everybody, Best Served Together trailblazer, really director of the More Voices Initiative. Your job is to figure out how to keep us so organized that we can put out over 400 shows that we've done over these 2 years, and being able to do the content campaigns. We're bringing in so many different diverse and unique voices across the food landscape. So everybody's Sophie Braker, that one piece of content. So this is an interesting thing, because we've talked about the resume is just dead. The resume does nothing. We've said it has to be this, can't do this, can't do this. You got to say this. And then we wonder why everyone's resume is exactly the same and it says nothing. And so it's an interesting concept, because you came on as an intern from Johnson & Wales, didn't know what the hell was going on with this Best Served podcast thing, trusted me enough to come on board. And it was funny, down the road, I said, you know what? I never looked at your resume, not once. What I did was, when you sent me an email, at the bottom, there was a link to a blog. And I read a couple of your blog posts. What was the blog? Why did you have a blog? What was it all about? I'm fascinated.
I had a blog because the year I graduated from high school, I went and took a trip to Japan, where my brother was stationed in the military, and I wrote a bunch of blog posts about that. And then I went into culinary school and just kept writing the blog. And I think I went back like Andrew did and read some of the posts from the Japan trip. Was like, I was so young and I sounded so young. And then I was reading some of the ones at baking school, and I was so salty. I was like so jaded and
Yep.
yelling about the dish pit and all sorts of
So
stuff.
you're really in that restaurant
Mhm.
life. I want to pop this up there, so anybody who's watching this can really see. Need to Sleep, uh hidden gems of the East Coast. I love this, because right now we're in the midst of talking a lot about writing headlines. Perfect Portland pastries,
Wow.
Sophie's food tour of Boulder, back to school, back to cakes. uh yeah, you were already kind of thinking about how you're trying to express. What I thought was interesting was you're really expressing a passion that you have for baking, for pastry, for sweets, which has pulled through in a lot of the work that we've done. More so, it was interesting because you were trying to kind of like highlight other people's passion as well. And this is an interesting thing, because like the pastries are amazing at lots of restaurants, lots of bakeries, but the people who like create them and make them, if we can put them on a pedestal, it just changes our relationship with them. So I'm interested, when you think about writing a story about a bakery, about a single pastry, and looking through the lens of the people who actually create and make it, blood, sweat, and tears, and all that. How do you kind of frame that as a writer?
Well, I definitely think that those blog posts did not do a great job of of doing that. I think I definitely like I had a New York one in there, and I definitely felt more connected to the places that I had researched and that I knew things about the bakers, like the Dominique Ansel bakery. I went there and was like, I knew stuff about him. I felt more connected to the food that way. There was a pie shop in Brooklyn that I had read a whole article about and had watched an interview about. And so I do feel like if you know the people, then you're going to feel better about the food.
Yeah,
So it just,
it makes
I,
it taste better. It just does.
yeah, honestly. I mean, I have so many people that I have told they have to go to Huckleberry in Santa Monica because I watched the Phil episode that has them
Somebody
on
feed
there, and
Phil.
I feel like I like you connect with them because you've seen them and you know who they are
Yeah,
versus just the food. Like the food is fantastic,
of
but
course.
it's better.
Yes, it's that story. The story has value, and you feel it in in every interaction, in every bite, and every taste. I think is so important, and we forget about that, because we're so used to like people point to the value that we have by the price that they're willing to pay for the item, and we get too caught up in that game, and not understanding the value that we actually bring is that story. And it's why grandma's food is just the best. It's why mom's food is the best. It's why that family interaction, those dishes may or may not actually be the best, but the way it makes you feel can't be touched. So that's what I really appreciate you always kind of bringing to the forefront. And you are that one piece of content away from getting a job that now has you at the forefront of leading this idea of bringing more voices into the story. We've brought hundreds and hundreds of people who haven't been acknowledged to the forefront, and you did it through content. And so I'm so grateful for that. You put yourself out there. I even know you joked about, I thought my mom and my grandmother were the only ones reading this blog. Well, I read the blog. Now we're putting it in the comments. Other people are going to read the blog. Please, everybody, drop comments into the blog. Now we need to get Sophie back and looking at those old articles. I know that you think that they're not written that well, or you sound so young, and maybe you do, but it put you on a path that now has you able to write meaningful and impactful stories for the hospitality industry, for millions of people in this industry now and in the future. So it all started with with a little pastry blog, and so I'm so grateful that you put yourself out there.
Thanks.
All right, Sophie, get out of here. All right, let's bring in Cory Nelson, who a lot of people might, if you go on Clubhouse, you see Cory's icon there at the top, always making sure that we record all those Clubhouses. And if you're on our TikTok, go over to Best Served Podcast TikTok, you'll see Cory. I think, Cory, you're pinned now talking about how to get onto Clubhouse, because we want to see more people in the industry on Clubhouse. Storyteller Supreme, that's like your superhero, your Marvel character name. And you're really creating a lot of the watch and listen content, focused on that video production, the audio production side, but also on our core team, making sure that we get meaningful stories out there. And so appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction.
Yeah, right. I'm a good hype man. I like to get people hyped up, because I'm serious. Like, the work that you do, it's meaningful and impactful, and people don't always know it. I get the opportunity to interact all the time. That's you're going to see a lot more of all of these faces and voices as we move forward and kind of open up our content playbook a little bit in 2022. So you, same thing with Sophie, intern from the Colorado Media School, right? And I've never looked at your resume either. Now I just like don't look at your resume, just because like it's a point of fact. Like, I've never seen your resume. I just saw that you had a Big Time Babble, a podcast that you just did, having some fun with your friends, and said, we're going to put ourselves out there. So we got to roll that beautiful bean footage. We got to get
gotta remember how to do this podcast. Make sure everyone's mics are on this time. Good call. That was a good call. Everyone's mics baseball are on. Baseball had some big
kill it in the game right there. That is the highest quality podcast work you could imagine. I like your show. I listen to some of the, right. It was a lot of adult beverage, a lot of football, a lot of just like you and your friends shooting the shit, like chopping it up, which I thought was really interesting, cool. And you were definitely the ringleader there, trying to get everyone organized, making sure everybody's microphones worked. And I just said, send me an episode. And I listened to an episode. I was like, yep, this is somebody that I want involved. Why did you start the podcast? Was the first kind of question I have. Why was that important for you?
Yeah, I think we started that, back in like 2017, and it was kind of that like era where everybody was starting podcasts, because there was a few podcasts that were, going famous, and people were getting lots of money off of it. And we felt that we were just as funny as those guys, maybe even funnier. And we said, let's just start doing it. It was a good reason to get together. We always talked it like that anyway. So I was like, let's just put some mics in front of us. That clip is hilarious because the podcast before it, the mics were off for half of the episode. So like you could only hear us out of one person's mic. So,
wow.
It was already thinking to the next, what's wrong. So.
Oh, that's great. So you already had the vision to be like, let's make sure the equipment works properly. We've had a lot of technical issues. We had a channel called Damn Robots on our Slack, where it was always like, these damn robots. So you know what? Like, we stay committed and focused. What I really appreciate about what you always do is like, you're always looking to improve. You're always looking to understand more ways that we can bring more value into the content that we create. But also, we have this like capture over create mindset. We're like, it doesn't need to be flawless all the time. Or we talk about, personal, not perfect. And it's really hard sometimes when you see some really sexy, glossy content out there, and then you're like, well, we just have to commit to putting out there, because if you're crippled by the inability to make perfect content, you're just never going to put your story out there. And so I appreciate that you're always improving, but keeping it raw and real. Why are you willing to put yourself out there? Like, that's fucking scary to say, I'm going to put myself out there and put an episode out there where you can only hear from one microphone, and you push through that, because a lot of people will run into that and they say, I'm done, I'm out, this is too challenging, it's embarrassing, whatever it might be. Why do you push through that?
Yeah, I think, that's the only way you're going to get better. Those sexy, glossy episodes or videos that you see, those people started somewhere too. They were making videos in their room or podcasts in their room. And it didn't make sense for us to, scrap an episode because we only would get together every 2 weeks. So whatever we recorded or got done, that had to go out if we wanted to continue to make that content. It also, was funny to hear reactions from friends and family that said, oh man, that was hilarious, you guys didn't have the mics on.
Right.
Or, going from there to where we are now, where people say, wow, I really love to see where you guys came from, where you started. Remember when you had the episode where you didn't have your mics on? Now you don't run into those problems. You're good. You're golden. Everything is working well. So it's just about, I think, that practice. And also people, like I said, people want to see that they're interested in that. That's hilarious. It's funny, but also it shows that I'm just a real person,
It's real.
that someone else might run into. So
it's real. And what's funny is I had the same thing. There was lots of tech issues early on. There was interruptions from dogs and cats and kids, like, when everybody was huddled in early COVID days. And people would hit me up and be like, that was my favorite part. I was like, you don't mean all the profound things that I said through the episode was your favorite part? The favorite part was when shit got real.
mm-hmm.
And it makes sense. And actually, we're going to drop this into the comments as well. You just put together a little blooper reel of a lot of those things and a lot of the mistakes that we made, which was hilarious. Shout out. We just put it up. It's got over 3,000 views on YouTube. So great to see that people are appreciating us being able to, I don't know, make fun of ourselves. Like we take the audience that we serve really seriously. We don't always take ourselves so seriously. So I appreciate you also keeping us grounded in that and focused in that. So Cory, Nelson, everybody, really appreciate you.
Thanks.
Cheers. All right, everybody, that is it. Amazing episode. I am so grateful to the 3 humans that you just got to hear from a little bit, and so many more on the Best Served team that are the amplifiers. We exist to amplify the worth and work of those who feed their community. And once again, they said, to hell with the haters and self-doubt. Start telling your story today. You are one piece of content away. These are the pieces of the content that brought our team together. I want to be a part of the content that you put out there. So please tag Best Served Podcast, Jensen Cummings, at Chef Jensen Cummings, wherever you are posting. We want to hear your story. We want to be a part of it. And you're going to hear a lot more about content in 2022 from us as we really open up our content playbook and try to share as much as possible to empower and uplifts and say fuck you to the haters, so that more of you can start getting those stories out there. They truly matter. That's it. Appreciate you all. Go make some content. Cheers.